What's up everybody, welcome back to Fight Bible. Joe and Brad here for another reaction video. Today we are joined by, once again, the professional stuntman Marcus Shakecheff, absolute legend.
Clip wings.
Today we are going to be watching one of the most legendary scenes in martial arts films. Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris from Way of the Dragon. I wasn't a massive fan of the film back in the day. Marcus loved it.
I wasn't
has
alive.
a much different opinion for us.
I love it.
Yeah.
I wasn't alive, so
No, but
you just
back-
don't give a fortune.
Your inspiration was from
Van Damme, JVCD Holmes.
rather than Bruce Lee.
Which I got a feeling most people of my generation were Van Damme fans.
Yeah, I
You
was
a
more
Van
of
Damme fan?
No. I was
Bit like his key
I was
eyes.
Bruce Lee and Jackie. Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee.
I loved, give me names. I love Jack. Have you seen The Foreigner?
Yes.
Give me names.
So we're going to watch this video through. Marcus is going to give some of his options on the stunts and how he would have done it versus how it's done. We're going to show some of the deceptive film angles which make both of the fighters look better than they actually are. Obviously it was, what, 1972?
And that's the whole point.
I think it was earlier than
Was
that.
it even earlier than
Yeah.
that? Obviously you've done a hell of a lot of fight scenes, so you are going to be able to see all of the little intricate details, and we're going to stop and pause as we go. Okay.
So straight off the bat, we got Chuck Norris here, who is arguably the hardest man known to man. When he does push up, he doesn't push himself up, he pushes the earth away. He was also born the day that the Germans surrendered in World War II.
They
Is
knew
that a
what was coming.
You can
coincidence?
see the backdrops
Oh
occurring.
my god, yeah, you can literally see it's a curtain.
Wow.
So they're on a stage. They're not actually in the
Yeah, so
Coliseum.
they're both individually in front of. Is that screen backwards on the other side?
No, it's probably two separate stages,
Yeah,
separate areas, but they're on a stage. It's not in the Coliseum right now,
Wow.
which makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Look at
He's
that.
so hairy.
So hairy.
Do you know? I've never seen a picture of a gorilla and Chuck Norris together.
What,
Do you
so
know
all
what?
gorillas are actually Chuck Norris?
Yeah.
That's why he's so strong.
Yeah, he's
at that
actually a gorilla.
Look at that lat spread, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Joe.
I think the cat. There you go. Curtain.
Yeah.
Line to the side.
What about the cat though?
I think the cat is sort of like the referee to start the fight. 'Cause the cat goes,
But if that's
meow,
a
meow,
curtain,
and then
how's there a cat on the curtain?
no, the curtain's there. That's
Straight behind,
cat's on
yeah.
the
So
wall.
there's a bit of built wall. There's a little bit of
Then you can
Scene.
you can see the curtain clear as day.
yeah.
Chuck Norris went on to do some really terrible movies, man. Look at that. Fucking wax it, son. Who do you think would have won in a real fight?
Well, they said they had a fight, didn't they?
Oh, here we go.
Or a spar.
Said.
They said. And-
Yeah, but is that
but
like
Chuck
karate
Norris
sparring?
doesn't deny it. Yeah, it was stand up, some sort of. Because
Yeah.
he was a world champion kickboxer.
Karate, wasn't
I think he was kickboxer.
he? Or
He
American kickboxing, which is just karate with
'Cause-
boxing gloves.
That's how they met. He
Okay.
won a fight in Vegas, didn't he?
That's a really interesting shot right there alone. Okay, so Chuck then he threw 3 side kicks.
Yeah.
Bruce was never there. I'm guessing they were just straight to the
Yeah,
lens.
straight to the lens.
Straight
and
to
the
the
lens is
lens.
going backwards.
It depends. I mean, it looks like they were slightly off camera, weren't they?
So this shot here,
Yeah, he's kicking straight to camera.
straight to camera,
Yeah.
and
then
same for Bruce
yeah,
there.
kicking right towards
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, no, don't rip off that nasty ass hair.
I don't know what's more disgusting, ripping it or having it in your hands.
With that blowing it.
Ugh, it's all sweaty. I mean, that was the thing with Bruce
Yeah,
Lee.
that's what I was thinking
He understood the difference between real fighting and how it looks boring on camera to this, because what he taught wasn't this.
No, you know that.
Yeah, and all that was big, heavy shots.
But his fans don't appreciate that, by the way. Marcus.
Well.
That's the issue.
No.
Not you yourself, as you were trained martial arts, but his fans think that's how he taught it. That's not what he taught.
He understood that you had to make the shots look bigger, and like he wasn't a kicker. I mean, no disrespect, I love Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
He can't kick above his waist that well. Not if you compare it to like especially Ginger Ninja Trickster. You
Yeah.
look at him kicking because he didn't train those kicks. All his kicks were to the midsection and to the legs. But when he went on movies, he knew people wanted to see high dynamic kicks. He'd do these high dynamic kicks, but he wasn't really trained in them.
If you're that famous, you know that this is what your entire reputation is built on, wouldn't you work on it? Wouldn't you become that good?
Yeah.
But you got to look at okay, we had this conversation. You can't compare him to modern time.
No,
like we said,
of
it's like
course not.
comparing a World War II fighter jet to a modern day fighter jet. At the time, say this was shot in 1960, 1970, wherever it was, the standard at that point wasn't that great. So it's okay me saying he don't kick that well. At that time,
He was a god.
He was God,
he
yeah.
was kicking like a he was
But he
amazing.
still had stunt doubles which did the big kicks for him.
He would never do any stunts, even if Jackie was the first one to sort of do his own stunts. Even if he wanted to do them, he's worth too much money. If he hurts his back, hurts his leg, breaks his leg, the movie shuts down.
Yeah,
he would
that's it,
never
it's gone,
do
finished.
any stunts or any hard falls. You'll always have a double, and that's just good practice. That's not that's not
Yeah,
him.
Very similar to Steven Seagal. He doesn't kick above the knee.
Now, this I believe is based on Muhammad Ali. Now
His footwork.
What he used to try, because the thing is, Bruce tried putting his philosophy in martial arts in his fight scenes, and it was you have to adapt, you have to change, because
Which is good, that's true.
Oh, so this is him adapting to he's
ditched his traditional style and he's gone to more Western boxing fluid movement. And he was a big fan of Muhammad Ali, and that's what this is.
Can I ask you what the big deal is with the...
why does he kick
Why did they do
constantly?
That was just. But do you know anyone else goes, "Wow"? There's no one else that really does that. It's sort of just his thing, and it caught. I mean, can you imagine kids in the 70s?
He's the reason why nunchucks were made illegal back in the 60s, 70s.
Do you know what? There's still... The UK banned anything to do with ninja in like the 90s. Do you know that?
Not now maybe, but when I was trying to get the films, the VHS as a kid, all the nunchucko scenes were cut out.
Yeah, that's right.
Really?
That's what I was on about. That's what... So on the
They cut
originals in the UK, you can't watch Bruce Lee with the nunchuckers.
No. I mean, you got them
And
now.
doesn't that fucking make it seem ridiculous that the
Yes.
UK
Yes.
government paid so much attention to health and safety?
But they put films in with guns.
Yeah.
Way more effective than nunchuckers.
Yeah.
So when I was in my teens, whenever I got any Hong Kong cinema film, I'd always try to get it from Hong Kong as an import because it was always uncut, and they'd cut them over here.
We did copy everything we saw on TV, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
I fucked around and did wrestling and pissed around and fucking beat my brother up. I would try and play Power Rangers and I wanted superhero outfits and all
I
that
had
kind
a
of crap.
punch bag and I'd done kickboxing routines.
Exactly. So
I
if you
used-
had fallen in love with Bruce Lee, you would have wanted some nunchucks.
I had to go to W.H. Smith's in the town centre, get the martial art magazine.
So
You'd mail order the VHS film of Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee,
Wow.
whoever it was, and you pay your $10.99, $15.99 for your
extortion.
VHS.
It's wages in Wales.
But the VHS, I don't even remember the cassette cases. They were like fucking
Big old
massive.
chunky
Like,
thing.
yeah, that was,
That was
great.
pretty poor.
Yeah,
It is at like 50% speed, so it's always going to make it look
But
a
he
bit
is
crap.
bouncing around like Joe
Yeah.
said now. That front kick.
And it's obviously, again, his
Roundhouse.
spacing and his timing.
No
Like
punches yet. Spinning. turning,
Bruce
kick.
wouldn't need to block these shots because they are miles away.
Yeah, but
Obviously, it's
also
down to the filming.
It's a film.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, it
but
That's like my
but
cat's like the
if,
show.
throwing a kick at that range is just a waste of energy. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean-
need to be done.
I mean, the cat again.
Yeah, he's at lost interest.
Look at his shoulders. You want to get combed for that shit. Do you reckon that was seen
Again,
as sexy?
kicking
back
camera.
then?
Kicking
I think it
camera
was.
alone.
It was. Hair was sexy back then, wasn't it? That was a nice kick. He
Yeah,
did
that
there.
was
That was very
funny, yeah.
nice. It was like a side hook. I do wonder though, watching this and the way he is kicking, Bruce Lee that is, if he did adapted them for the camera, because that was a very wiping spinning hook kick, and that's what we do for camera. When we're doing hook kicks and punches, we make them bigger than what they'd normally be.
Yeah, because they're normally quite tight.
Foot stamp, look, he's doing the John Jones, or John Jones doing the Bruce Lee knee
Yeah,
stamp.
that makes sense.
See,
What
for a
was that
shot like
first?
that, for a kick like that, what would the spacing be? Like, is he pulling the kick before impact, or are they spaced enough that the kick, like
The
obviously,
camera angle just
the
catches
camera
it, it looks like
angle
it's on.
changes the
I mean,
perspective.
Obviously, camera angles play into it, but it's how controlled your fighter is. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Bruce Lee could have tapped him and not made impact. I think he had that ability for sure. Like generally, if you've got a highly trained martial arts in a fight scene, you will tap it. You'll make slight contact. It won't be enough to knock anyone out, but it'll be close enough that
Still
it's like,
rattle
ooh.
you a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Bruce Lee was, that looked pretty close. He was skilled enough to pull it, I think.
See, like that then, that was a perfect example. Was that punch, camera is behind Chuck Norris, the punch is 4 or 5 inches short. Yeah. It's just the reaction. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, there's no interviews on makings of this or
No,
people
exactly,
who were
yeah.
there. But you have some martial actors like Jackie Chan. I mean, Jackie Chan, you put a camera up, I'm sure Jackie will just know his camera awareness. You'll just
amount of
know
hours behind it,
you'll know where the gap is without even having to look at the screen. And if, say, for example, you put a 35mm lens or a 24mm lens, I guarantee Jackie will know exactly what the camera is seeing, where the gaps are, where the spaces are. And I think with people like Jackie Chan who've done it for so long, they just got great camera awareness. He likes a knee stomp, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Violent,
the oblique kick.
Like you said earlier, the exaggeration on the strikes. I know that's not what he teaches, because if you watch his demonstrations, it's different.
And like all this stuff, I know it's a bit outdated, but it does look good. I mean, at the time,
does look good.
you would have been like, look, bam, 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 bam. You'd be like,
Mouth
wow.
open as well.
You can see, I think he liked them a lot, those big haymakers. And
It
I
looks
think,
good for the screen, doesn't it? The
It does
sculpture.
look good, but in terms of fighting, it's not what I prefer. Like, if these two guys are proclaiming to be trained fighters and someone's throwing punches from way back here,
But same again, you're comparing, if you can't compare today's standards, back, if you go back to this point, you're dealing with the Western films, all they do are
Terrible,
haymakers.
yeah.
All they did were haymakers, so he's appealing to that audience.
yeah. Well, if you compare this
Hey,
movie
Gilman.
to, say, like a James Bond film at the same era,
Oh.
the fight scenes were absolutely
Was that like
tragic.
Sean Connery back then?
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, such a short-string piece of ass.
Yeah.
They hadn't done this themselves, you know, this was sort of quite new. Hence why he was such a hit, because no one had seen anything
Exactly.
like this.
So do you think that a lot of
first
people who
things
still, a lot of people that still reference Bruce Lee being the best is because he was the first?
He was the first.
He was the first. He revolutionized the game and changed it, and people have like a nostalgic memory of that moment, point, and change of time when things went from meh to wow.
Yeah, if you look at all films, the first of their kind always seem to do well. Star Wars was pretty much first of its kind, I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
it was.
I do think it's disrespectful when you have Bruce Lee fans comparing him to modern day martial
Yeah, 'cause it's
artists.
just unrealistic.
It's unrealistic and it's unfair, you know, on Bruce Lee. It's like one he's dead, right? So leave him be for starters. But to compare him to modern day, like I said before, I've used the analogy. You're comparing a World War II fighter jet to a modern day fighter jet. It's unfair.
It doesn't work.
They're
Doesn't
saying that the
they
Spitfire
say-
is the best plane ever
Yeah.
made. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure the SR-71 could shoot that fucker out of the sky.
Mate,
You know,
I'm pretty sure a drone controlled by a 4-year-old kid could take a Spitfire down.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean nowadays?
I mean,
For
exactly.
real.
Yeah, but Spitfire
For
at
real,
the
I mean,
time,
an actual proper drone controlled by a kid.
Spitfire
could do it.
changed the world. Bruce Lee changed the world of martial
And
arts.
I think the fans as well, sometimes they take away from his legend and add to it, because
Yeah.
what they do is they try to compare him to modern day. But you got to look at his period. You didn't have MMA. MMA
No,
wasn't a
No,
thing. You
even
had-
though he was the first to do it, because he mixed
it all up.
But allegedly, that had been done a long time before.
Royce Gracie, like I said earlier, if you took Royce Gracie from UFC 1 and put him in UFC today, how well would he do?
Not so good.
Not
man.
good.
Now, if I took you back in time before UFC,
Be a hero.
you'd kill everyone. Now,
Yeah.
imagine Bruce Lee, even if he had a limited knowledge of grappling, limited knowledge of judo, and you're surrounded by one style people, how good do you think he's
Who
going
are
to
you
be?
going to win? It's like I said
Yeah.
to Joe, if you know what the person's going to do in front of you. So what I used to do, I used to drill with my boxing coach, and all I was allowed to do was jab. And he knew what I was going to do before I'd done it. So he looked like a fucking god.
Yeah.
Lit my ass up like a Christmas tree. I had fucking no chance. It's the same, if you because he knew what they were going to do, because he had one style, and he had all these other things to counter it, he was going to win.
But when
Yeah.
you have the fans saying, "Oh, Bruce Lee could,
Beat
fight
John
like
Jones.
that,"
Exactly what they are, they're
and you
fans.
just
They
like,
are they're heroising him.
it's
they are
it's
putting way too much on
disrespectful
him.
to Bruce Lee, because he's taken away what he did achieve in the time that he
That's
did it.
I never thought about it like that. That's quite a clever way of putting it. Go on, like,
It,
go on,
it
man.
does. It takes away what he achieved, because you can't compare him to modern day. It's like comparing the first computer to a computer now.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I get butthurt now when they try and compare him. Oh, but he
Yeah.
would wipe the floor
Yeah.
of McGregor.
I don't.
No.
I'm
he
not
would
offended by his ability. I am
I'm
offended
glad
by
he done
people
it.
who believe that what he did in his movies made him the best fighter ever. Probably not. And then they say, "Oh, if he was in the UFC, he'd fucking."
I
win."
mean, there's so we know he has I don't want to say pro. I think it's amateur. We know he has an amateur boxing record. Bruce Lee. He had one fight, and he beat. It was either British. I think it was a British. It was either British or American boxer. He was, young kid, like 20. and he beat him. I think he TKO'd him. Now there is a record of Bruce Lee actually fighting in
It's a
boxing.
shame we couldn't see it.
You know what is interesting? Going off Way of the Dragon, End of the Dragon. First fight scene in it is an MMA fight. He's got gloves,
Is that with the Kimura thing they do?
but he's got gloves.
Gloves
Yeah, he's got the
He
gloves.
gets like the Kimura.
He's got the
or something.
wrestling pants.
Yeah.
The grappling, and he gets a submission.
Yeah, it's like a weird inverted cock. It was
It looked like yeah. I don't think
He's like Ki and he does it.
it looks like he's got him in like a crucifix. Because I think he's
It
got his other arm.
is a crucifix. He's got the arm on the other one. You're right, Joe. Insert here. Pew, pew, pew.
He choreographed that film. Did he write
Yeah,
it?
he
everything.
choreographed it. So that's
I
20
thought Gina
years.
Bell was involved in that.
Yeah, I think
that's where those locks come
I
from.
don't
That's all
know.
judo
Maybe.
locks.
If you hire someone like Jean LaBelle to influence your choreo, if you were on set on a film and you were doing the choreo for it, and someone came on who literally just showed you something you'd never seen ever before, you go, "Can you show me that real quick?" And then they said add that in, and then essentially Bruce Lee has taken credit for Jean LaBelle's influence.
I'm sure Gene LaBelle said he openly used to kick Bruce Lee's ass.
Oh, of course he would have done. He'd
Well,
have
he would
fucking
have.
licked his ass
The thing
up.
is, you could say that he took credit, but you could also say that he showed it to the world.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed.
He showed it. And the thing is, I mean, you think for the time, it was 20 years before MMA was even a thing. Well, even longer, because MMA, even when the first UFC came out, you still didn't have MMA. It was like a few
No.
years. It
It,
took
it
to-
wasn't.
was like
No one
underground.
was mixed.
No.
No.
So
So
it wasn't until like 3 or 4 shows afterwards.
he technically did an MMA match 25 years before it was even a thing.
Oh, he's hurt. He's taken one too many to the face.
Oh, that's what I was like the other day when I put it in sparring.
So I'm like, every day.
Seeing stars. Ah. Nice little camera refocus there.
So I would be there stomping on his face, but no, he's going to
Yeah.
be respectful now. Let the
Yeah,
injured
but he
man out.
is.
I'm just amazed with the
His
view
brain
of
is
Bruce Lee.
scrambled.
Mate, it's incredible, right?
Oh,
That sweep
see,
could have been
you would,
cleaner.
yeah,
That
and you
sweep
would
could have
only
been
know
cleaner.
that. You would only know that's coming from choreo.
He should have done a back sweep.
Look at that forearm, man. Christ.
What? Does like those John
See,
Wayne
those,
punches?
yeah. See that again.
Sounds like a
Okay,
Harlem
what
man
happened
here.
there?
It looked like he did some magic shot.
It looked like
Watch
he
this.
punched him in the armpit or something.
Armpit, yeah.
Oh, he's super fast. It looks like
He's
he sort of.
hyperextending his elbow.
If you give me your arm, I'm not gonna do it. It looks like he does this, but really fast. It looks like he's gone like
He's
that.
hyperextending his elbow, yeah? Like this.
Is it,
Watch.
he's done this
Yeah, like that. The elbow.
there you go. With his other hand.
Yeah, he has it.
But he's so fast. I don't
He
think
is
you
fast. You can't argue with that.
Bruce, you're too fast. You got to slow down sometimes.
Slow
man.
down, sir.
Yeah, but to hyperextend the elbow would need to be in the opposite direction. The
Yeah,
elbow's
he's done
up.
it right, ain't he? I thought he hit the bottom up.
His arm's like that, where his arm is.
Go back.
Yeah, his
Press
arm
play.
needs to
Go
be.
back,
He
press
needs to be
play.
palm up, but he's not. He's palm
All
down.
he needs to do is this.
Oh no, he does do that.
He turns.
He goes,
I think he turns it
He
for
turns
the.
it
He
as
turns
it's
it to
been
emphasise
See.
it. If you do it that fast, there wouldn't be the power to actually
Oh,
dislocate
but
an arm.
fucking hell, it's a film, man. Fucking hell, I've say this
I know,
every
but if
time.
he'd have he'd have caught the wrist and then like elbow struck it. No, if
He
he'd
does
have
that
caught
sort
it
of
and
stuff.
proper put into it rather than just.
You know, people compare like him to modern day.
Yeah.
The fictional character of Bruce Lee, like this character, versus John Wick without a gun.
Yeah, John Wick.
John Wick.
Fuck him up.
You reckon John Wick?
Oh, mate,
I
you-
don't know. I'm on the Bruce
You
Lee.
could even
side.
file in a complaint for assault.
I think
Sexual
I think
assault.
Bruce Lee might sidekick him like into a wall.
No, because you could do that and you.
Yeah, but this
John
is
Wick could
fictional.
also
This is
fall
fic-
off the third story
Well, so you
of the
think a
house.
fictional Bruce Lee
This
character?
fictional Bruce
Right,
Lee
right, so
character.
I guess it also depends
This
on
is
which
the way I
film it is.
said.
Are they in a Bruce Lee film
The
or a
last-
John Wick film?
the last
It'd be a
John
Bruce Lee
Wick.
film, wouldn't it?
Right, ready? So the last John Wick that came out, Bruce Lee could have nunchuck sidekicked him off the 4th story of a building. He would have got back up, crawled back up, and then killed him with bare hands.
You're forgetting the fly kick though. You would fly kick him afterwards.
Doesn't matter.
Just saying.
John Wick.
Bruce Lee
And if he had a gun, oh my days.
If he's got, like, if he's got a
Do you know
gun,
how
got
quick-
any
Do you know how
weapon.
quick the fight would be if he had a gun?
If he had a
Bang,
gun, yeah.
Over.
Yeah.
Headshot. No, actually, John
No,
Wick.
it would be
knee,
knee,
elbow,
yeah.
elbow, finger, toe, toe, body,
but if it's a
face.
Bruce Lee film, he's got darts to disarm him.
It won't matter because John Wick could go like because he wears armor, bulletproof vest, doesn't he? Remember?
Bulletproof
he wears
clothes.
bulletproof clothes. So
Yeah, no, but it's to disarm him. Bruce doesn't want to kill, does
Doesn't
he?
matter.
He wants to just mash him up.
Bulletproof.
This is such a great debate.
Bulletproof.
Oh god. Right, Chuck is fucked. Look at his hand. He's like,
He broke the arm. Bruce Lee's like, get up, pussy.
yeah, he's still being he's, oh,
Yeah, stay down, dude. It's over.
yeah, that knee stamp definitely.
No, because he's America and America.
He's gonna put his knee back in or something.
Bruce, I got a feeling Bruce is going to go for the old upside down dragon sleeping rear naked anal slam.
Bruce Lee on screen. I don't know if this is right. I think Bruce Lee is the only person Chuck Norris has actually lost to on camera.
Ever.
I think.
He has beat hundreds of millions of people bare hand.
I think Bruce Lee's the only guy he's lost to.
Oh.
But don't quote me on that.
No. I've seen Chuck Norris films. He's like Delta Force. Got two Uzis in his hands. Girls with their tits out behind him. Do you know what I mean? Degrading.
I liked him in Expendables too.
He was really good in Expendables. Really good.
There we go.
No,
Don't do
continuity.
Even the
issue.
cat's like,
Yeah, there was some continuity.
Yeah, he just stood still now. He isn't limping or anything.
meow,
He's
meow.
going on the cat.
He's good. Zoom. Oh, that was
Oh, look, guillotine him. Right, guillotine him.
That's a
Neck
terrible
crank, mate. He breaks his neck, doesn't he?
Yeah.
See?
The neck breaks are always awkward for us in the films though, because sometimes you do have to do neck breaks that just would never break your neck.
Yeah.
So if people go, oh, they'll never break his neck.
No,
But I've done
no,
so
no.
many neck breaks in films. And the reason you'll do it is you don't, sometimes you just don't want to do the standard, like everyone has seen, you know, the same stuff. So sometimes you want to come up with something a bit funky.
I
But
want to go full Tony Jara.
Steven
snap
Seagal does good
someone's,
ones.
snap
Steven
someone's neck
Seagal
with your
does
ankle.
legit neck breaks.
Does he?
Yeah, he comes over the back, so they'll be facing away, trap an arm, come under the neck.
Yeah,
do
I
a
think
research-
that's the
research-
only way.
research.
I think a dragon sleeper style neck break.
Yeah, that would work.
I don't think you can break. Could you break it from a guillotine?
No.
No.
Unless they're already unconscious and they went limp and you got it across their face. So
I mean, I did run a show where he crosses the legs over and just went like that, and the guy just
Oh, what,
got
like on Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
that sexy with Sonya?
Yeah.
Sonya, give me a break. Okay.
I mean, it would never work, but in the fantasy, you know, I'm guilty of it.
Or Kylie Minogue in Street Fighter, she breaks about 400 necks.
You're bringing them all in.
She's just a neck breaker of doom.
Brad's got all of the classics.
I love all these.
They're all
films,
women, though.
Yeah. Oh, he just
know.
loves Femme Fatale.
man. Just shows you I'm in the poon. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Even
so-
though, do you know what, Bruce? In all fairness, you had him already. You could have just kicked the other leg and walked off. You didn't
Yeah.
really have to kill
Didn't
him.
have to kill him.
You could have just put him to sleep
Yeah, yeah.
and just walked off.
Watch him, put him on the floor, let him piss himself and walk away.
Yeah, but instead he's like, well,
Gonji LaBelle style.
you'll never
Then-
have kids now.
Yeah.
Spinal.
Savage.
20 martial artists that go, oh, Bruce Lee's this, fair enough, but what you got to respect within Bruce Lee, he was trying to show the world martial arts. He was trying to, the influence and the camaraderie and the respect.
Who else was there around at the time?
It wasn't.
There wasn't.
You
So-
didn't even have Jackie.
For
Jackie
me,
wasn't around.
one of them, obviously, one of the main things that made him as prolific as he was the fact that at the time the racial divide between the US and China was huge.
Yeah.
So for him to become the star he was to overcome massive challenges. It's almost like the first black baseball player in the 20s and how they're still remembered. He was the first Asian influenced Hollywood star.
He was meant to do the kung fu.
They used to do yellow face,
Yeah.
didn't they? They used to paint people
Yeah,
to
for
make
real,
them look
straight up.
Asian because they would never use an Asian actor because
Yeah.
it was
Don't-
too bad.
I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure he was meant to do the series Kung Fu that Dave Carradine done.
Yeah.
They
Young
refused him
Grasshopper.
because he was too Chinese.
Too Chinese.
He went back to Hong Kong, did a movie. I think, I think at the time he thought it was going to be a lot of rubbish, and then he just went overworld sensation, and then America's thinking, oh my lord,
Shit,
get him
we should
back.
have got him back.
Hong
yeah.
Kong was British overseas territories at the time, overseas territory as well
Yes,
at the
yeah.
time. Till 97, I think.
So he made 3 successful films. He made this. He started making Game of Death, and then I think America knocked on the doors like make Enter the Dragon. And the sad thing is, he died before it premiered.
No.
So we never got to see
And
it
it was
work.
one of
Brain hemorrhage, wasn't it?
There's so many different things.
So many different ways.
Like-
Some people said that he was assassinated.
I don't think he was assassinated.
But do you think a highly fit guy like that would die of
I thought he took
something?
an aspirin and a brain hemorrhage.
The last story I heard, which sounds more plausible, is that apparently he had his sweat glands removed, apparently, and that he was in the studio and it was hot and he overheated, and when you have your sweat glands, you overheat, which caused a hemorrhage, basically, or something like that.
Overheated, that would make sense. That kills you pretty quick
Yeah,
too.
he overheated, and the reason that they put what they did on the death certificate was because the family wouldn't get an insurance payout. So I think the doctor was like,
Yeah.
either way, it was a tragedy, and he died.
Yeah, massively.
Died.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
He died way too young. Like,
32.
amazing what he could have achieved.
Yes.
Well, he'd been doing the same as Jackie Chan when he was good shit.
Well, he'd be in his 80s
been asking
now.
for names.
Well, you might not even had Jackie Chan if he'd still been around. You might not even.
Well, it's a good show.
Yeah.
But he'd be asking for names.
What?
Give me that name.
Bruce Lee in The Foreigner Part 2.
Give me names.
I believe that you're probably going to say I'm crazy. I believe if Bruce Lee was like born now in this time and had the same passion for martial arts, and if the stories about him are true, I think he'd be like a Mighty Mouse Johnson.
Yeah.
Small guy would be. I think that's the type of caliber he would be if the stories are true.
Yeah,
about
But
him.
you appreciate that there's weight classes in the UFC for a
Yes,
reason, and he wouldn't have beat John Jones.
Yes.
Or
That's where some people...
Cassius Clay, thinking that he could beat Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali was my size.
Yeah, I'm
Big guy.
monster.
Big guy.
I mean, unless his tactic was to somehow double leg take him down, get him into an eye.
I don't think he would have had the power to do it.
No.
I don't think you'd have got close enough after that jab. Pop, pop, pop,
Yeah,
pop,
it's
pop.
too fast.
Too fast.
And Muhammad Ali was fast. Like I know Bruce Lee's fast. He's fast, but he's 5'8", weighs 60 pounds. Muhammad Ali was fast, weighing 230 pounds, and 6'2".
And there's also one who does it in movies and one that does it in a ring.
But yeah, makes it. And then would Bruce Lee be the same on screen as what he is under pressure in front of 30,000? Well, 100,000 people expected before.
He definitely had a troubled past because he had to leave Hong Kong because of all the fighting he was doing. So he definitely had trouble. You definitely
They
like
didn't want
the
him there
scrap.
because he was leaving. He was teaching the Western world. Because you got to remember when there was World War II and that, America was taught to hate the Far East. Do you know what I mean? They were taught to hate. And then don't forget, America come to China's aid technically, and so did the British in World War II. When you had the Japanese and Sino War II, where they were like beheading the Chinese and all that, and the Cantonese, it was horrible. They were setting them like they were putting kids on a bed, nailing their hands down, nailing their feet down, pouring petrol over their face. They were raping women. And then putting bamboos up their snatch, hanging them, so putting the bamboo there, chopping their arms and legs and heads off, putting just their body on bamboo. Have you not ever seen that? Mate, it's horrible. And they deny, and I think it was
Japanese
Emperor Hirohito, who was the emperor at the time, who the fucking queen seen, and he actually, I think he had links to the orders for that. He was like, look, if the Japanese soldiers need to rape loads of women, they were actually gang raping women to death. I didn't even know that was possible, being raped to death without being beaten, but...
Pain in it.
Mate, it's horrible. I mean, being raped once is it's terrible. Like, it's death penalty in my eyes.
100%.
Yeah, death penalty.
So there you go, guys. We hope you enjoyed this video and breakdown of this movie scene from Way of the Dragon. Marcus has been great giving us his input into how this film would have broken down and also the life and history of Bruce Lee. We do like Bruce Lee. We just hate when people compare him to a modern fighter. Doesn't make sense.
And Brad Pitt would have beat him in Once Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, probably would have done. Yeah, well, a guy with legitimate army experience who's murdered people versus someone who talked a big game and did movies.
The thing that annoys me with that Brad Pitt scene is more the fans again. The fans are like, oh my god, it's disrespectful to Bruce Lee. Now, obviously, it didn't paint him in a great light, but it didn't paint him in a bad light. He didn't get his ass handed to him.
No, well, they finished it as a draw.
They finished it as a draw. So
Bruce got in a cheap shot, and then...
Right, I wouldn't have cheaped till he fucking told him.
Yeah.
He's like, look, ready?
Yeah, but he just stood there and...
You threw him into a Chevrolet and folded the Chevrolet in half.
Yeah. So
And he
that's
got
one
up.
all, and then they were going to do a third one, and then the woman said, "No, you
Are you
can't do
fucking
that on a
kidding me?
screen."
Oh my god, right now.
I mean, it obviously didn't do him justice, but it didn't mug him off either.
No. But people
No,
were
100%.
people are so protective of his reputation because of what he went through, because of his, his ostracization. Is that a word?
Yes.
That one works. Yeah.
It's like a giant ostrich.
Because of the shit he went through. There you go. The shit he went through as a younger man trying to get into films, and obviously his heritage and how much he changed the kind of movies and the fighting style. So I get it. I do get it. We hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Also check out Marcus's channel. Got some fucking sick ass
We'll put the
videos on
link
the
in
channel.
at the bottom, don't
Link
worry.
in below. We'll see you again very soon for another one. Peace out.
Adios.